What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. So this is so absurd. This is so silly. I did not believe it until I actually saw it. And then when I actually saw this, I almost fell out of my chair. There was a tournament in Japan and Ojamas actually made it into the top 8. That is fucking ridiculous. Obviously, if you know anything about Ojamas, they are super old as an archetype. They're from GX. One of the main characters in the show played them, Chaz, or Majumi. He didn't just play them. He used to like talk to them, and it's like a whole weird interaction where they're like kind of alive, and they're like, I don't really know how to describe it. You just have to watch the anime. But one brave soul actually took Ojamas to a tournament. He was like, yo, I got this. One new card of support and we in there, baby. And I think that a lot of this has to do with what I talked about yesterday. The fact that with Zodiac gone and with True Draco just severely diminished, it really feels like that old saying, when the cat is away, the mice will play. It feels like the Wild Wild West in the OCG, where anything can basically top, because obviously their tournaments aren't nearly as big as what we have in the TCG and Europe and South America, North America. In fact, a lot of their tournaments can even be like local size when they have these big team tournaments of like 120 or 128 players, maybe even 196 players. You can get crazy decks like this sneaking in there because there is kind of no established meta in Japan. And with one new card to support, Ojamas are actually back in there. Now, I tried to look over this deck and tried to analyze it the best I could, and I was like, what is the win condition of this deck? Is it just Ojama beatdown? Because clearly he runs the 7 Ojamas, and I think it's more or less just rank 2 control. And I think that one of the biggest reasons that this deck actually was successful, and I do not know the tournament size, for all we know, guys, this could have been a 9-person tournament, and he was like, yes, made top 8. I went 1-0, baby, we in there. I think one of the biggest reasons that the deck was successful is because he took, well, obviously not that great of a theme in Ojamas. He has like 10 Ojama cards, but he combined it with another strong anchor. Obviously the Paleozoic cards are just good. People have splashed them into other decks, like you splash frogs in them. People have splashed them into what's that deck, Phantasms. People have used that in the past to kind of work with that deck because they count as normal monsters on the field plus their water, so there's a little bit of synergy there. But I think that the Paleozoics kind of tied it together, and they were able to basically get the maximum potential out of the Ojamas, because everything in this deck is level 2. Obviously the Ojamas are level 2s, and Ojama Duo, if you happen to use that during like if you use the graveyard effect and get your 2 Ojamas, that's a instant rank 2. Or if you use any of the Paleozoic cards, those can be rank 2 fodder as well. And if you look at his extra deck, there's a bunch of just rank 2s in here. He runs all the Paleozoic cards. He runs the freaking I cannot remember what this card's name is, but the freaking baby raccoon ninja dude, the one that makes a token and it copies the attack of the highest monster on the board. He has the totally awesome, and with people not really messing with kaijus right now in the OCG, totally awesome is a pretty difficult card to out. Like, it's really difficult for your opponent not to either just beat you down with the TA, or for it to just launch itself, negate a card, get you a card back from your what's it called, maybe, well, I guess you wouldn't get anything back because there are no water monsters to get back, but I guess you could put the TA back in your extra deck, but still your opponent's card, and just make it a living nightmare for them to deal with. Totally Awesome is still a very hard card to stop. And then he has like the Master Boy, a whole lot of Link monsters in here, and this is a very good deck for pumping out like Link 1s, 2s, and 3s, which you see that he's running Deco Talker, he's running Proxy Dragon, and all that stuff. Now, I also think one of the reasons he was successful is because this deck is kind of like Floodgate City. He has the Imperial Order. He has 2 copies of Unending Nightmare. I couldn't pronounce that for some reason. And then he has 3 copies of Mistake. I think that Mistake is just kind of one of those cards that people have kind of forgotten about. A lot of people just kind of look at, I guess, what's that card? Ash Blossom is kind of like the pseudo one that you can use from your hand. But if you are playing against like ABCs and you're playing against a lot of these other decks, it does stop things like Power Duality. It stops the Union Hanger when they activate it. It's just a really good card because Ojama, this deck really doesn't do any searching, and Foolish Burial Goods can not only send Ojama Duo to the graveyard, which that graveyard effect can be used during either player's turn, but you can use it as well as you can use it for the Paleozoic cards as well. But I think the Mirror Forces were just probably like one of the big reasons. What the heck is going on? There we go. I wasn't trying to click. What the freak? Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I think the Mirror Forces were probably pretty useful too. I wonder why he went with Drowning Mirror Force. Like, the Blazing Mirror Force makes sense because it's just a good Mirror Force in any situation. But I wonder I wonder why he went with the Drowning Mirror Force, because that card is only really good if you don't have monsters on the board. I mean, he doesn't have a high monster count, and I guess since he can summon from his deck, maybe he thought that he's gonna have his field open a lot, kind of like how Dark Magicians is the best like Mirror Force for Dark Magicians. A lot of times is the Drowning Mirror Force, because you really don't keep much on your board except Dark Magician, and if it dies, it's just like storming your opponent and then activate Eternal Soul. But now I'm just talking about Dark Magician randomly. But I just wanted to show you guys this because it's fascinating. Again, I don't think that this was like any prestigious tournament or anything, but I still think that this is really exciting. Will this translate to the TCG? The interesting thing is this deck is 100% TCG ready. Obviously, we don't have Ojama Duo from Circuit Break, but what I mean is there's no like, Solemn Judgment or Triple Chicken Game or Pot of not Pot, but Pot of Avarice, I guess, but that's not applicable here. What I meant was Upstart Goblin or something like that. There are no cards in this deck or like the side deck that are exclusive to the OCG. There's nothing in here stopping us from running this deck. We just have to wait for Circuit Break to come out until we can get all these other cards, and I'm assuming that cards like ABC Buster Dragon and whatnots in his extra deck, Chi-Win, are pretty much just there for him to be able to use the winter cherries and just banish those. So just a little bit of interesting stuff happening in the OCG. If more crazy stuff pops up like this, I'll definitely talk about it, because the OCG just seems a little more interesting than the TCG right now, obviously until Link Strike comes out. Anyways, whatever you guys thought, leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already.